What's up guys, we are back with another Heroine Cup video, probably the last one I'm going to do. I decided not to play in too many of these tournaments. I'm not huge on the format, but I did run some games and I did want to get some coverage out. We're still on UY Nami, just updated the list a smidge. We have 3 Nojiko. This really helps into a very few number of matchups that I think will be popular. Like Shirahoshi I think is going to be a deck that a lot of people run, just because if it hits curve it really takes off. But the Nojiko plus Gravblade allows you to actually remove through their removal protection, because you have to do double removal turn. It also helps into decks like Lim, as long as you remember that the 1 cost only protects itself and it doesn't protect other characters. So 3 Nojiko, 4 Young Girl, 2 Pudding, 4 Kumasi, 4 Hiyori, 4 Kiku, 4 Baby 5, 4 Hogback, 2 Perona, kinda weird but the list is tight, 4 Nami, 4 Kuma, 4 Robin, 2 Gecko, 1 Red Rock. I don't love this card in this format because a lot of decks are going wide versus going tall, but you will run into stuff like Pudding, for instance, where you maybe just need to get rid of their first 8 cost Katakuri or their 10 cost Lin Lin. 2 Gravblades, because I feel like this is a format that goes a lot wider than it does tall, as I just mentioned, and then 4 of the Be My Servant Uwu. This is just a generic search card. Let's jump into game 1. Alright guys, game 1 we are going to pair into EBO3 Vivi. This should be a pretty favored matchup for us since Vivi only deals with KO based removal and all of our removal is blue / bottom decking. So we're just gonna play a girl here, cycle out the Hogback into trash so we have the Thriller Bark, and then add the Donda Leader. This allows us to we could have used the leader effect to pitch 2 cards, but I kind of like to take the first hit most times playing Nami. Here we're kind of deciding what we want to do. We'll pitch off the girl from the girl, then we're just going to put 2 on. We're swinging, leaving 2 open in case we end up drawing into a Hiyori, which we do, and then we're just going to swap the Baby 5 into life. That way, when we take the next hit, we'll draw 2 cards off of it, hopefully giving us a pretty decent 4 cost. They do opt to play Vivi into Nami, which is fine because they can't establish their board anymore, and we have a Nojiko in hand, so I'm going to just slap that down right away, get rid of that Nami blocker. That card is super annoying. Choosing to putting them afterwards, putting them back down to 5, that way if they block and use leader effect, they're going to have to go down to 4, which it does look like they will do here. We're going to pass here. We actually got a 2k counter out of hand for that, which I'm pretty stoked on. I really like when Vivi chooses to give me a counter card versus a brick for leader effect. They do drop down the Egram. This is just going to let them minus power to their leader to search out an Alabasta card, which they search out the EBO4 9 cost Chocopel. It draws you cards on play, and it also has double attack, which is pretty strong. Here we're just going to trigger the Baby 5, drawing 2 cards. They pass turn. We're going to clear that Egram or try to force the first block. They don't give it to us, unfortunately, so we will just drop a Pudding over the Hiyori, discarding the Perona, so we have another Thriller Bark character in trash. We'll go 2 at their Searcher Vivi just to get it off the field. Then we're going to go 7 into lead. I anticipated they would do another block here, and then it's again just 1 more card out of their hand. Again, another 2k counter, which is really cool. They're back down to 4. They will draw into 5 cards. They're kind of starving themselves for us at this point. They play 7 cost Vivi, making us discard the Gecko Moria or bottom deck the Gecko Moria. I've never actually read the Vivi card before. They're going to minus power to the Pudding, and they're just going to swing 10 in with Chocopel. I think we choose to take this, just so we have extra cards in hand. Then we're going to play a Hogback trigger over the Nojiko. Deciding to Nojiko bounce the other blocker back to their hand just so we have the Rested Dawn active for the girl promo. Then we're going to try baiting out some swings here. We're trying to apply pressure this turn, so we're going to do a 5, leaving a Grip of Dawn active in case we want to play maybe another Kuma down, or if we see a different card that would be beneficial for us at this point. Maybe the Nami, but I think we should have done the Nami sooner in the turn if that was the play we were going for. We do just drop the Kuma, healing back up to 2, anticipating that they're going to swing in with a pretty big double attack here. I'm kind of just leaving cards in hand, that way we can get out of this. So we will pitch enough cards, putting us to 7 for the turn, but 10 for that battle to get out of the 9k Chocopel swing. That card is really, really good in Vivi. They do KO our Kuma, letting us heal back to 3 with their Pop Shanks. And then I want to say they're going to make a weird move where they choose to reduce the power of the Kuma and then swing into it as well. They're just trying to go for like a board clear situation, but we have them in a spot where we can just push aggressively. As long as we continue to counter out of enough swings each turn, their double attack isn't going to matter. Here, I'm actually really stoked that we draw into the Kikanojo. Since we have 3 2Ks in hand already, the Kikanojo is going to boost us to 7, but I always hate discarding a counter card for leader effect. So, like I said, we just did a 7 and then an 8. Our whole plan was just to push more cards out of their life while they don't have blockers. And we're also presenting the Nojiko as pressure. Like, the longer it stays on field, we can just do another 7k swing with it on the next turn. So we're already at 7 here. We are choosing to take the double attack just to get a couple more cards in hand. We end up now at 5. We do unfortunately draw into a Robin, which is kind of a brick, but it's not that big of a deal. We could potentially even play it next turn to heal back up to 3 if they don't swing Shanks into life, but it looks like they might swing Rayleigh into the Nojiko, which is funny, and then Shanks into life. We get another baby 5 trigger, which is pretty solid for us. Here we're kind of just deciding what we want to do. I believe we're going to go double Searcher, trying to find whatever we can. We're gonna grab the Kuma, do another search, grab the Hogback, just to change out 2 bricks into 2 1Ks essentially. Then we're gonna swing 7, hoping this puts our opponent down to 0 life. If they block her up here, theoretically this is where the counter event / unblockable, the Whitebeard event, would be really, really helpful, but we don't run that. I'm not a huge fan of it in this list. It doesn't fit my playstyle necessarily. So we are going to counter out of this double attack, because if we don't, we lose. They just pile the rest on Shanks and swing like 20k into us. So we have to really like mathematically counter here, and we need we need a little bit more counter out of life. We're not sitting the best if our opponent can do math correctly here. We're at 7k for the turn, but we only have 4k more in counter. Opponent really obviously taking his time, which is good. He decides to swing a 9 with leader, which is pretty strong. We are going to give him a 2k 1k here. Really, we kind of have to. Otherwise, they have too much pressure to apply with the Dawn that's active between the Rayleigh and the Shanks. So now they have to kind of decide if they want to do like 8, 8, 12, 7, 9, 12, which is all the difference here. So they do an 8, we can't get out of it. We literally just needed 1k to surefire lock in the game. So they're going to swing 8 here. Thankfully, we got the putting out of life, so we have 2 1Ks, and that is enough. They're just going to concede on the spot. Let's jump into game 2, though. Game 2, we are going to play into red, purple, sugar. This is pretty interesting. The whole game plan of this matchup is pretty much not to swing until they're at like 7 Dawn. Once they're at like 7 or more Dawn, I don't really care that much about swinging. but we don't like to ramp before that. First turn, we are just going to drop down the girl promo. Pretty standard Nami play. We're kind of just finding our pieces right now. We're fine with dropping a couple of the girl promos and then just attaching Dawn to the leader and passing. Like I said, we're kind of playing the slow game in the sense that we don't need to swing into them quickly because we don't need them to ramp. Nami kind of has an issue with purple when they're able to go tall fast. I think a lot of decks have an issue with that, but if you just kind of starve sugar, they don't have the chance to ramp as much. Also, we have a grab blade right now, so we're kind of waiting for them to establish a couple of their like 5 costs, and then we will drop the grab blade. Crazy, we actually drew into a second grab blade right there. Here they're already at so they were already at 2, 4, what is this, 7, and they just ramped 1. So they were already at 7, which is the reason why we swung. Doesn't really matter. They're at 8 now. They're gonna go to 10. They were at 9. We could have held out maybe one more turn, but now we're gonna be able to also KO the sugar and then potentially swing a 7 into leader as well. So we'll go 6 into the sugar. Then we might just do 8 into their leader, which they will bullet string, but that's good. We were able to get that out of hand. They're going to kind of build out their board here, and they search out the Snow Igloo counter event, which is really, really solid. We'll just pitch a Perona when they swing, and we drop the first Gravity Blade. So again, we're able to start getting aggressive now. I do anticipate that they maybe have like a slow beam sword to rest our Robin, but they don't. For some reason, they saw value in resting the young girl more than there being value in alleviating one swing. Still pretty standard at the moment. We were kind of just considering pitching the blocker back to their hand, but we don't need them to search off of it again. So we will swing 9 here with Robin. Then 7 with leader, putting them down to 1 life. I feel very comfortable. I feel like we can probably take it in the next turn. We will just save out. So I countered out of the first young girl swing there to make them to force them into swinging the leader into it, which just saved us a swing into life. I was fine with letting it go either way, and we discarded a card out of our hand, which puts us within the limits of drawing a card when life is removed. They throw down another Sugar Searcher. It doesn't really matter. They find Rosinante. They play a Rosinante. Then they're gonna kind of combo here. They go Sugar into a second Rosinante. But that's not a big deal for us. We're just gonna grab Blade, which at that point, that kind of gets us the game, in my opinion. We will swing 9 here, just forcing out the slow beam and more counter. So here we're going to get at least 3 cards out of hand unless they want to take this. So we got the 3, we got double slow beam and a 3-cost sugar, and then we just kill off their Searcher Sugar, and we're setting up to pretty much win on the next turn. We will counter here. I don't love giving a 2k counter for leader effect, but it is what it is. We let the Nami go. We pretty much just have math here. We swing 9. They only can get to 9. We're going to swing the rest on leader, and that's going to get us the game. Overall, like, there's not much to say in this matchup. We kind of saw really good, even though our hand from the start wasn't great. We cycled into the cards that we needed, and we just waited out the sugar instead of going super aggressive super quickly, so they weren't able to ramp, they weren't able to get the shanks out super fast, and then we also just removed 4 characters with double grab blade. So it was a little bit of us just high rolling, but Also, Sugar, I think, is a favorable matchup for Nami. Let's jump into game 3, though. It looks like game 3 we're going to play into a promo blue Nami. I'm a little worried about this matchup, but I'm glad I caught it, as to be able to watch back and see if I can maybe have done anything better. But this kind of really comes down to seeing bottom deck removal and hopefully a lot of chances to burn them with the 5-cost Nami. Opponent does choose to go second, but that's actually kind of ideal for us because we see the 5-cost in our opener. Phenomenal start for us, to be honest. We also draw into the grab blade, so I didn't put Dawn on leader there, and it might have been a little bit of misplay, but usually Mill Nami does not swing, or they won't really swing their leader very often, so I'm not anticipating a swing here. This is kind of a slow game, and we really just want to find our Nami pieces and build a tall board as quickly as our Dawn will allow us. So they've already got a Kaya down, they've already milled a little bit. They're probably just going to establish maybe another Kaya here, which is kind of annoying for us. We are going to have to play through it. Realistically, we could remove it with Grab Blade on our 7 Dawn turn, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. Well, I guess that is kind of the ideal situation. They play down a Boodle, so we aren't going to be able to remove both of the Kayas, and they 3k worlds our Nami, so we don't have anything to swing with outside of our leader, and we now have to remove the Boodle, otherwise it's going to trash a card off the top of the deck. So we're just going to Grab Blade. We do unfortunately leave one Kaya on the board. We also usually wouldn't swing into blue Nami there, but they utilized all of their Dawn on their turn, so they have no counter events. They just trash off a Zeph 4 counter, in fact, which is a little beneficial to us. I am worried they're going to play another Zeph out here to bounce the Kaya. That's pretty annoying because they just get to play the Kaya back out, but we do have the Nojiko to bounce the Zeph back to their hand. They will get a mill off of it again, but it won't be anything like the mill they would have gotten off of swinging 12 with the Zeph and then milling 7. So we're just going to get a little aggressive here. Every time they overutilize their Dawn or leave themselves with not a lot of Dawn active, we do try to push as many swings as we can. Depending on the number of cards in the Nami player's hand, you want to swing either 7s or 9s. If they have no Dawn up, you can just swing 5s or 6s. It's not that big of a deal. But 7s make it where they either have to give you 2 cards for counter, or they have to use an inefficient counter event. Same with 9. They have to give you a +4, and then they have to give you an additional card. So it's just good to push 7 or 9. We're really trying to just establish more characters here. I'm a little worried about the Zeph, I'm not gonna lie. We clear through the... we swung 9 there to clear through the Boodle specifically. It was technically more efficient for them to block to mill 1 card than have to waste multiple cards to get out of the 9k swing. I'm just trying to plan my turn around what they're going to do with this Zeph. They only swing a 9, so it's pretty easy to counter out of. We do leader effect baby 5 hogback, and then they play U. I've never seen this card before in my life. It seems pretty good. Not in use currently, but they play another one, and they're able to get both of them off in the same turn. So they just cycled 4 cards. A little annoying, but they left no Dawn active. We swing 10, we get rid of the Zeph. That was a pretty key move. I also just play another 5-cost Nami down here, not to take the life, obviously, because they're at 2, but more so just to develop more bodies. We need to be able to swing more than once or twice per turn. You need to be able to swing as many times as you can, especially when they have no Dawn active. We get it. We get the life. We're able to draw the baby 5 counter. They play a Zeph. They bounce the Kaya. They play the Kaya again. pretty crazy. We're just building up a little bit of a hand here. That way we can deal with a Zeph swing, but it's looking a little rough. They have 12 cards in deck here. And they're almost certainly going to mill more cards off of a Gum Gum Gavel and then also a Rubber Band of Doom. That was a pretty big mill for them. That's not great for us. We're going to swing another 9, and then we are going to swing 10 here, hoping that they don't have enough counter. It does look like they have just enough, though. So if they just swing 15, they win. They mill another card. They grab a peel off, actually. This is looking very grim for us, chat. They grab the peel off. They use the peel off. They have, I think, gotten to the point where they have seen the Kaya that we bottom decked with the Kaya in Boodle. They have 1 card left in deck. Thankfully, we can probably counter out if they just put it all on Zeph and swing. They're going to put 4 on Zeph. So they're swinging 10. That's not that big of a deal. Thankfully, we can counter to 11, but I'm still very worried. In the moment, I'm not realizing that they just drew back into the Kaya and the Boodle and that they're leaving 2 Dawn open to maybe play a blocker. I'm more intimidated that they have another counter event. They do play the Boodle here, which is literally enough for them to win. If we can't get rid of this Boodle, they just block and they mill the last card in their deck. But we're a top deck god. We search off of the Will You Be My Servant card. We find the Nojiko. That is going to allow us to bounce the Boodle back to hand, and they concede on the spot. Last card in their hand, probably a one of in the deck, the Usopp. Very interesting. I have lost games to Nami because of this Usopp, but we were able to close it out. We were able to play a couple of the 5-cost Namis to make them take life, and then we were just able to bottom deck cards at certain points that were really, really helpful. We were able to clear the Zeph and kind of deal with that as quickly as we could each turn. That is going to be game 3, though. Let's jump over into the deck analysis. Overall, guys, I really do think Blue Yellow Nami is a strong choice to take into the Heroine Cup. I might not be a huge fan of the format overall, but I do have a lot of faith in this list. A couple things that I've seen people running instead, they might triple up on Raging Tiger or Red Rock. They might just have that at 3. Some people are running more Morias. I've also seen a lot of people teching the Whitebeard event. If we can get it to load real quick. If I bow down, or if I give in force, there would be no point to my life. This just goes unblockable for your leader, but I've messed up in gameplay with this effect a lot of times, not remembering that I have to be at 1 life. There's also a lot of times where I've been finishing out games and I've been at more than 1 life, so I felt this was kind of a dead card outside of just a pitch for leader effect or a plus 3k. But oftentimes just pitching something for leader effect isn't good enough, because if you have 7 bricks in hand and you pitch 1 of them for leader effect, you still have 6 bricks in hand. So I personally cut this. I do know a lot of people are running it still, and it's not a bad card. It's just not for me, I think. Other than that, though, this is the list that I'm taking to the events that I'm playing in. I have another one on Tuesday that I plan to join in. But past that, this is going to be the end of the Heroine Cup format coverage for me personally. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, a comment, maybe even subscribe, and catch me on Twitch sometime when I'm streaming.